This is the RipCurrent S, Juice Bike's all-terrain electric bike. This fat tire bike has a massive motor, a very large battery, and we were impressed with how it performed in our testing. So does it live up to what people expect from the Juice brand? Stay tuned and find out. Hello, I'm Forrest with Electric Bike Report. Before we get started, here's a friendly reminder for you to click the subscribe button if you'd like to get more e-bike content in your YouTube suggestions from us here at EBR. Also, click the notification bell to keep you in the loop for more EBR content, including some e-bike giveaways we have lined up. So first off, let's take a look at the three main features on this bike that stood out most to us as we tested and reviewed this bike. First, the 1000-watt Bafeng rear hub motor. It cranks out a lot of power. Now, Juice is known for power, and you see that in this model. As soon as you push down on the throttle and start pedaling, this bike really rips. Now, the RipCurrent S also comes with a very large battery. It's almost 1,000 watt hours, and it's SGS certified to the UL 2271 safety standard. We like how they spec'd a large battery to feed a large motor, and we especially appreciate the fact that it meets UL safety standards. We also found the bike to be very comfortable thanks to the air fork suspension that can be finely tuned. We don't generally see an air fork on fat tire e-bikes like this. Moving on to the rest of the bike specs, we have the L2, that's LTWOO, 9-speed gear system. We were eager to see how well the 11 to 34 tooth cassette and the Pro Wheel 52 tooth chainring work together in the pedaling process. Stopping this bike is the Logan hydraulic disc brake system with rotors that are 180 millimeters in diameter and 2.24 millimeters thick. It also has dual piston calipers. Sometimes you're only as good as the wheels you're riding on, which for this bike are the 26-inch by 4-inch CST all-terrain knobby tires. Since RipCurrent S is meant to tackle all sorts of terrain, we needed to see how well these tires performed. One of the nicer things Juice has done on this model of the RipCurrent S is include a torque sensor that helps rein in that powerful motor. It produces better motor engagement with your pedaling than the cadence sensors many similar fat tire bikes use. Also, the torque sensor helps economize battery use. There's a rear rack also that carries up to 50 pounds of cargo, and there's fenders that block dirt, water, and debris away from you. And finally, the cockpit. It includes a 720 millimeter wide handlebar with a 6-inch rise giving a BMX look, as well as a more relaxed upright riding posture, rubber ergonomic grips, trigger shifter, 40 millimeter adjustable stem, and the Selle Royale A306 URO saddle. Now that we've walked through the main components of the bike, let's jump into our testing. Are the brakes good, safe, and reliable on this e-bike? We test to determine this when doing our brake test. Our test rider Griffin pedaled the RipCurrent using the pedal assist up to 20 miles per hour before quickly coming to a complete stop. We then measured the stopping distance and then repeated the process several more times to get an average. The RipCurrent S's average stopping distance was 21 feet 9 inches, which was better than the 23 foot 3 inch average stopping distance we track on similar e-bikes. This bike uses the Logan HD E500 hydraulic disc brake system, featuring 180 millimeter rotors that are 2.24 millimeters thick. It uses standard mineral oil like most other systems too. The Logan brakes gave us the kind of stopping power we were expecting, safely stopping us consistently and giving us more confidence in the RipCurrent S's overall safety. One of the questions we ask when testing a new e-bike is, how fast can the bike go in each pedal assist level? Let's head outside now and see what our PAS speeds are in our speed test. Okay, now we're gonna test the top speeds at each pedal assist level, starting with 0 pedal assist. That's no power coming from the motor. So I'm pedaling now in 5th gear and get going. Have to stand on a little bit. Fat tires. So just getting close to about in the 10-mile-an-hour range here. Getting started. And now we're going to go into eco mode, first mode, and feel immediate engagement with the motor, getting us to a nice speed of around 14, in the neighborhood of 14 miles an hour. Now we're going to go into number 1, PAS. And from 14 well into the 18 mile an hour range. Now we're going to go into PAS 2. And from the 18 mile per hour neighborhood up into the 21 mile per hour neighborhood. Now PAS 3. Another good engagement. You can hear really picking up the pace. From the 22 mile an hour range up to the 24, 25, yeah. Now we're gonna last one, top PAS level, and getting over 28 miles an hour now, so you know my pedaling's helping here, 29 and a half. So good range of speeds at each of the PAS levels, and as you can see, when you pedal, it helps that much more. Now we're going to do the throttle test, see how long it takes to go from 0 to 20. Ready, set, go. Nice immediate engagement with the throttle. Didn't even have to pedal. We're getting there, 19, boom, 20. There we go, 20 miles an hour. Good acceleration. Okay, as you saw from the video, in PAS 0 or no pedal assist, I got the bike up to 10.9 miles per hour. Then in eco mode, saw a nice jump up to 14.7 miles per hour. And then another good jump in PAS 1 to 18.6 miles per hour. PAS 2 up to 22.1 miles per hour. And then another good jump, PAS 3, 25.9 miles per hour. And finally, leveling off at 29.6 miles per hour in the S mode, also known as the sport mode. This motor's consistency and predictability are what you want because you'll know what to expect when you're riding an e-bike. Having 9 gears to choose from also helps the bike produce consistent top speeds. The Pro Wheel 52-tooth chainring and the LTW00 11-tooth top gear cog prevented ghost pedaling issues we sometimes find with other e-bikes riding at top speed. In our throttle speed test, we clock how long it takes to go from 0 to 20 miles per hour using the throttle and no pedaling. This tells us what kind of raw power the motor alone produces. The RipCurrent S reached 20 miles per hour in 11.5 seconds, which is a good result for a 750 watt motor, but we had expected a quicker time considering how well this 1000 watt motor rockets ahead from a dead stop. It's here where we see how this motor has a lot of mojo in the first half of the power band, but then gradually tapers off to a less aggressive pace in the latter part. For example, in the throttle-only acceleration test, this RipCurrent S went from 0 to 15 miles per hour in only 6.35 seconds. But it took another 5.15 seconds just to go another 5 miles per hour faster to reach that 20 mile per hour top speed. We like how the bike feels and how Juice has programmed it to respond. It's super powerful and can be almost overpowering out of the gate, which we think a lot of our readers will actually like. However, once you really start pedaling and get past the 14 to 15 mile per hour mark, the torque sensor kicks in a bit more, and that makes this bike handle more naturally and more controlled. When buying an e-bike, you'll want to know how far you can go, right? This is why we run 2 different range tests. The first test measures how far this bike will go when riding in the minimum PAS level, in this case, the eco mode. This tells us what the longest distance is the bike can go while using the least amount of energy from the battery. I was the test rider on this part, and I was surprised to reach nearly 90 miles on a single battery charge. That was at an average speed of 13.3 miles per hour. And that's thanks to the 998.4 watt-hour battery. It's larger than average. In the second range test, we want to see how far the rip current can go using maximum power from the motor, in this case, the S mode, which is level 5 on other PAS systems. Our test rider, Brendan, he went over 42 miles, averaging 22.1 miles per hour before running out of juice. Both the 42-mile distance and the 22.1 mile per hour average speed were very impressive, and it also highlights the bike's motor and battery strengths. Another plus is the UL 2271 certification on this battery safety, along with the IP65 certification confirming how well this battery is sealed and resists dust and moisture. That's something to remember as you go splashing across the stream on your next ride on this bike. One caveat though is the 2-amp battery charger. It takes close to 10 hours to recharge this battery. That's why we'd like to see Juice offer this bike with a 3-amp charger instead, so folks can power up in more like 6 or 7 hours. How well does this bike climb hills? That's another question we ask ourselves when testing e-bikes. Let's go now to Justin on the EBR hill test out at Hellhole, testing the bike going up a hill that's 1/3 of a mile long with a 12% grade all the way up.
Okay, so we're on the Juice RipCurrent S. Has a 52 volt battery, 1000 watt rear hub motor that peaks about 1300 watts. So we're gonna see how it does. I'm in the highest assist level. It's right through that section, right around 10, 11 miles an hour, down to about 9 is usually where they kind of get the slowest, is right here. So holding constant right around that high 8s, low 9s. On this, the motor definitely does have a little bit of, but it's kind of a lower pitch, not a high pitch tone to it. So I'm gonna be quiet now as I go through this next section so you can hear what this motor sounds like as it's climbing this hill. So you drop down right around to that 9 miles per hour again. You could hear the motor. You can hear it working, but it's not quite as high pitched. And so yeah, you can definitely throttle up Hellhole. Be curious to see the results and how this compares against some of these other bikes. The wattage output on the screen's never hit more than 1100 watts. So we'll see how it does on the pedal test. Okay, so on the RipCurrent S pedal test, I'm curious to see what happens here, specifically with the wattage. I didn't see it go above 1050 watts on the throttle test. See if it does on this pedal right there. Is right around 13 miles per hour. Climbing up that hill, I'm really not going to push much. Shift it down to 5th. Through this next section, I'm going to let you kind of hear the motor. Again, I'm going pretty soft pedaling here. So down to about 12 miles per hour is also, I definitely feel the power of that rear hub motor, but it is staying right around that 1000 watt. So it doesn't seem to be pushing up to the 1300 watt maximum. But overall, very curious to see the results, and you can easily climb a hill like Hellhole on this bike.
In the throttle only test, Justin got this bike up to the top in 1 minute and 28 seconds at an average speed of 12.3 miles per hour. At first, we had expected this 1000 watt motor to gobble up the hill pretty quickly, but it ended up climbing at a much more calculated pace. While at first we were a little disappointed because Juice could have really made this bike fly up the hill given that 1000 watt motor, but after riding and analyzing the bike more, we really like what Juice has done with their throttle. First, it gets us up even super steep hills, but does it in a controlled way that is safe and won't get you in trouble with other people out on the trail. In the second part of the hill test, Justin pedaled up at a casual pace while utilizing pedal assist power in the S mode. He reached the top in a time of 1 minute 14 seconds with an average speed of 14.7 miles per hour. Compared to similar bikes, this hill test result was better than average, and again shows the motor has a ton of power and it can really climb hills. What does the bike feel like when riding it? Let's head out now on a ride to discuss comfort and ride quality. Talking about the ride quality of the Juice RipCurrent S. So looking down first at the handlebars, no stem. Only way to adjust it is to swivel the handlebar back and forth by loosening the clamp. But that did okay with me because the bike comes in 3 size frames. So pretty easy to find the size you need, which is good. And this one works for me. This is the large size frame. The fork, it's an air fork, not a coil spring fork like we normally see on bikes in this price point. And it works good. The adjustment was able to fine tune the recoil and compression. And overall, the kind of riding I'm doing, happy with suspension on the fork. There's also a lockout, and like I said, there's a pre-measure adjustment you can make on it too. Tires, they're 26-inch by 4-inch fat tires, all-terrain tread, and they do a great job on the road and bike path here, and even on the dirt riding that I've done. No rear suspension, nor is there a seat post suspension. The seat overall is comfy for my tush, and you can move it a little bit forward and back on the slide rail to fine-tune your size adjustment. I did that, sliding it back and then moving the handlebars up a little more forward, and really good rubber ergonomic grips too. And finally, the power output. The 1,000-watt Bafang motor delivers really good output of power. I'm just cruising in eco mode right now at almost 16 miles an hour, and this thing rides really nice, but when I need that extra speed, I'm going to just step on the pedal right now and click it up in the first. Yes, and as you can see, I'm going in 2, and then going into 3. So this thing's got good engagement, good rate of speed, has no problem getting out of the way. So good overall ride quality. The main feature we noticed in this set was the motor's balanced engagement with my pedaling. With every e-bike we test, we want to see the motor deliver the power we need when we need it. The Bafang motor delivered in that regard, making our ride easier and noticeably quicker too. I liked the upright riding posture because it was comfortable and made riding seem easier. I also liked how I could still lean into turns and feel in control. Riding an e-bike off-road poses unique challenges between the rider and bike. So we like how Juice offers more dialed-in fits with 3 frame sizes. There's the 16.5-inch medium frame, 18-inch large frame, and 20-inch extra large frame. Riders will always get a better ride on a bike they are properly sized on. So we appreciate Juice for making this a priority. And finally, the cockpit. That's the handlebar and components linked to it. They had a nice ergonomic feel. Everything from the handlebar to the grips to activating the control switches felt comfortable and easy. Now when you ride bikes as often as I do, you start to notice those subtle differences that can diminish a bike's riding quality. Fortunately though, that was not the case here. So I've seen a few people riding the RipCurrent S around before I finally got to ride this one, and I must say I think this bike exceeded my expectations. By focusing on the motor power, battery range, and quality ride, the folks at Juice plugged into the right features for making this bike a winner with riders who like speed, range, and good handling on their adventure rides. Like I said before, this bike has lots of mojo to get your ride on, but you'll want to make sure the areas where you ride don't have restrictions on e-bikes with 1,000-watt motors. Also remember, the 998 watt-hour battery can take up to 10 hours to fully charge using that 2-amp charger that comes with this bike. At the end of our testing, we came away feeling Juice produced a good quality all-terrain e-bike with this RipCurrent S. And considering the price, you really do get a lot of value for your money. Now, if you're an off-roader like me, or if you're just looking for an e-bike you can ride practically anywhere, this bike should be on your short list. I think you will be happily surprised after your first ride. To check out this or other Juice e-bikes, please click the link down below. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, then please click like and subscribe. Also, be sure to click the link to our in-depth written review. It has the details I mentioned today, plus a lot of other important stuff. So that's it for now. I'm Forrest with the Electric Bike Report. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you out there on the bike trail sometime, and please, please remember, keep your hands on the bar, your feet on the pedals, and your eyes on the road, and I'll see you next time here on the Electric Bike Report channel.